The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel and podcast. And we are here. We are back with another Wednesday recovery podcast because once again, everything we mentioned on a Monday show was ruined within 48 hours. We've got lots to talk about tonight, boys. But just to introduce ourselves, I am your host, Kris, joined by Scott and Deka this evening. This one's probably going to be all over the shop because I'm going to dive in the chat as well throughout this one with questions and comments which come in. But I'm going to start with you, Deka, first of all. So the recent news is Liverpool have approached Newcastle United and queried the availability of Alexander Isak. And it looks like that they're trying to test the waters and throwing figures out of £120 million. Newcastle United rejected any sort of approach and said Alexander Isak is not for sale. Is he staying at this football club, Deka?
It's hard to say because if I'm answering the question as of now, yes, he is going to stay. I think the club aren't going to be bullied into any. This isn't like a Mike Ashley situation where he'll cash in. The club will be resolute in their stance of no. My only worry is if Isak's head or opinion changes on that. If he starts to force a move or ask to leave, we're in a difficult situation then, if I'm honest. And I think the club, once a player decides to do that, for me, get rid of him. I would. That's what I would do. But I think if Isak doesn't make any noises, stays professional, does what he has to do, the club will stay resolute on that, and he'll not go anywhere.
And that seems what it is, Scott, at this moment in time. Newcastle's stance is, as it always has been, that we don't need to sell our top striker. Our top striker is irreplaceable. And to get a replacement in for Isak is completely impossible. It is, and we'll know that. Strikers are hard to come by these days. We'll talk about what led on from that, because we could end with two by the end of this. But it looks like I mentioned, Isak's happy at Newcastle. He's never shown any sort of inkling that he wants to leave the football club. He's there on the preseason tour in Austria as well. So it's all smiles from Alexander. But what we're seeing from a Liverpool perspective side of things is that Liverpool are trying to push Isak to make a decision here and try and rock the boat a little bit. Can you see that happening?
I think a lot of it's media. I think a lot of it's for clicks and likes and whatever else it is these days. I think, we haven't actually seen anything come from Liverpool. There's been no official comment. I don't think you really would get that anyway, to be honest. But it's all coming from the likes of Romano and Ornstein and all that, where there's got to be something to it. They wouldn't just report it for the sake of it. But then again, a lot of the comments were there's been no official outreach. They've just stated their intent. And I don't know what that means. I don't what does that mean? Could you just go, oh yeah, well, we wouldn't mind him. But who wouldn't mind him? It's Alexander Isak. You've just said there, he's irreplaceable. And the reason he's irreplaceable is the reason that the likes of Liverpool are after him. But then you've got to think, if someone like Liverpool goes, we would offer him, I think 120 million, it was the bid, then you'd expect a team like Real Madrid to be like, hang on a minute, is that all he's going for? We'll enter the race. And then another team would come in and you then enter bidding wars and that sort of stuff would happen. So I don't think it's as big as it's being made out to be. I think it's more to test the waters, maybe, to see if we release anything, or we try and go for anything. And I think it's also there's another player on the horizon that we're going for. That's been maybe leaked a bit. That maybe Liverpool will also go on for. And they're thinking, well, if we can't get that player, we'll go for Isak and see if that's they're buying this one player to replace him, which I don't think that's for either, but we'll get onto that later. I know I'm talking very in tongues a little bit there, but I don't want to jump ahead of what we're going to be talking about later.
I think
when it comes to Isak, and if his head's being turned, I don't think he will. I think he would stay at least one season because we've got Champions League football. We've just won a cup. He's still got a lot to prove for us, and I think he's the type of player who would stay.
I think we're far from that at this moment in time. I think we're miles away from it. Personally, I don't think it will happen. I think Isak will still be a Newcastle United player come that first game of the season, and obviously look who it is against. And it's written in the stars, really. And I think what we're seeing right now is the likes of Liverpool, Deka, trying to throw their weight around a little bit because they drove Liverpool. It's there. Of course, it's there. That's not going away. So no matter which footballer you are, if Liverpool show interest, your ears are twitching a little bit, aren't they? Thinking, like I could have a very, very successful team. That's Premier League winning medals and all sorts, Champions League winners medals. That's what Liverpool can give you. But having said that, I think at this moment in time, nothing changes. I think Liverpool will probably throw the toys out the pram a little bit if they come knocking again with an official bid, which will get rejected straight away if we're looking at the rumour of £120 million bid, especially when Liverpool are asking for it's £80 million for Diaz. It's kind of an insult to both Newcastle United and the player Deka to say, well, he's only worth 20 million more, 40.
Well, 120 is still a British record, right? Like, it'd still be the highest transfer of all time. I think, if I'm being honest, of course it annoys you, right? But at the same time, right, what do we want our club to be doing? Like, we want us to be, we're the draw of Newcastle, we've got Champions League, we're this, we're that, go and get these players. I actually honestly have no problem with Liverpool wanting them, like, because it's just how damn good he is, and I understand why they want him. Them don't really have a decent striker. No offense to Núñez, but they don't. So I can understand why any team would want them. I do just think 120 is not enough. I think, having said that, though, if this is very hypothetical, but let's say it's 120 plus Harvey Elliott, or it's 120 and with achievements it goes to 150. 150 is a lot of money, lads. Like, it's a lot of money. But I think someone mentioned it before, and I probably agree. Is he irreplaceable? He probably is. And even if you buy the striker that we're going to probably get onto in a bit, is he going to come in and hit the ground running like the standard that Isak is? He's not, is he? He's just not. No. And the pressure.
That's the issue.
Can you imagine the pressure on him? Let's say Isak did go, right? Again, I'm talking hypothetically, so please don't, in the comments, people go, oh, he's not gone anywhere yet. But just talking hypothetically, if he left, the pressure on him coming in, it's huge. It's huge. So, it's difficult. Like,
I'm gonna stick with you, Deka, just for this next one, which has been sent in across from Nathan Sweeney, that says I'd sell Isak abroad for 120 million, not to the champions. I think we'll have to throw that in there as well, because if you're selling, I'm going to say a rival club. And yes, I know we're not competing to win the Premier League against Liverpool, but that's what our ambitions are in the future. Yep. But I kind of agree with that. I think if you are selling internally to another Premier League team, you're inflating that price, and you're going to continue to do that because you're only making that team better. Well, one of your competitors, you're just making them better and putting them even further away from where we are.
Couldn't agree more. It's a great comment. And can I also say that picture I drew in is unreal, by the way. Yeah, this is his profile picture. Unbelievable. I think it's a completely different club, a completely different time, but I am going to mention one that reminds me of. I remember when Van Persie went to Man United, and like, what on earth are you doing getting rid of your best striker to the rival? And like, that's what we would be doing, right? And I just feel you're right in what you say, that are we going to win the league next year? Probably not. But is the aspiration within the next 4 to 5 years to be challenging? I would say yes. And by giving your prize asset away to them, it's a no-go. Like, it's a no-go. And I probably agree, really. If we were willing to sell, let's just say the club said, you know what it is, right, we're probably all going to cash in. I'd be trying my best, but does Barcelona want him? Does Real Madrid want him? Like, try and get him abroad, because you only might see him 2 or 3 times a year, Champions League wise, rather than doing damage, to our aspirations domestically.
I think you have to remember as well.
Yeah.
There might not be a rival in terms of league position, and we're not. Aspirations are to win the league eventually, but maybe not next season. But we did play Liverpool in that League Cup final, and it would have been a completely different story if they had Isak playing up front against us.
100%, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
That's
what I mean.
Next season, if I go for an FA Cup or a League Cup,
well, like we mentioned, there's a reason. There's a reason why these clubs are showing interest in Isak, and it's because he's a world class footballer. And I was listening to a podcast earlier on a live stream, which is from a good friend of ours, Harry, who runs Chronicles of a Gooner podcast, which is an Arsenal podcast, and he had a little section on his live stream today. Obviously, we know that Isak is no longer linked with Arsenal, but it was kind of more of a question that's saying if Arsenal had have knew that there was a possibility that Isak would be for sale, then they wouldn't have been bidding for players left, right, and centre, trying to bring them to the Emirates. Obviously, the news today that Liverpool have inquired about that. Yes, when no official bid hasn't gone in, it's kind of got the backs of a certain section of Arsenal fans. But having said that, in the comments from the Arsenal fans, and I think this might just be because obviously they're not going to get the player, and it only seems to be Liverpool that are showing a firm interest in America now, is that Alexander is injury prone, which I get he has had a few injuries at the football club, but to class him as injury prone, I think it's far from that at the moment. And I jumped in the comments and saying that we'll have to remember Newcastle last season struggled to manage Isak's minutes on the field. You had Callum Wilson that missed a big chunk of the season last time around, just like most times. And Isak is your only man up top. And you had Gordon that was filling in positions at time. Yes, you've got Asula, who's probably your second choice striker at this moment in time. But he's far from injury prone. I wouldn't put that on him.
No, I don't think he is. I think.
Sorry, Hugo, Scott.
Sorry, I don't know who you've gone for there. I think a lot of it is that we were running players into the ground for a lot of last season because of the squad depth, and that's what we're looking to build this window with. Going in for Ekitike. It is a case of we want to keep both because we can't be expecting Isak to be playing for what's probably going to be around 60 games a season. When you can't run the Champions League, and if we have a good cup run in one of the domestics or both of the domestics, he ain't going to be doing that. We haven't got Callum Wilson anymore. We've only got Asula as backup, who might not be ready to Eddie Howe standards come the start of the season. So we're going to be looking for somebody else, and it looks like this young staff. Well, I don't know how old he is now, but he was a youngster when we went from the first time. Is going to be the backup for him. We're not going to want to lose another striker and then have to buy another one again if we do get rid of Isak. Like we're wanting to go into this league with 3 strikers. That's the plan, you would imagine. So I don't get this story of if one comes in, Isak's out. It's I think the plan is to have three fully fledged strikers to go into the season with, so we can do a bit of rotation for these midweek games that are coming up.
I think that comes across to the next question, Deka, which has been something which is mentioned on social media quite a lot. Are we showing interest in? It's more interest in Ekitike, but we've actually put in a bid which has been rejected for around about £80 million. I think it works out at. Are we looking at bringing this player on with the possibility that this could be Isak's last season for us, and we are buying a player for the future to take over?
I think I covered that on Monday a little bit of what my initial thoughts were by signing him. Was if we bring in Ekitike for that amount of money, I just, unless you change formation, right, which I don't think Howe would do either, can I add? I can't see how you can keep both players happy. I can't see how you can bring him in for that amount of money, right? And everything Scott's saying is right in regards to games we've got to play. I honestly get all of that, but I just can't see how you can keep Isak happy by saying we'll manage your minutes. We're bringing this other kid in for 80 million, and first of all, you're going to say to him, by the way, you're second fiddle. I cannot see him joining for that, and I just didn't. A few things I read was they were going to play alongside each other, and that was going to be the strike force. If that is the case, by the way, my God, you've got a front two there that is dynamite. It's unbelievable, and that's amazing. But then I don't know how Gordon Alanga fits into the team. I don't know. I haven't got the answers to them questions. I think. Do you think? A question for you is really, with the link of us going for him, I feel as if Liverpool have thought, like if they're bringing in a striker for that amount of money, let's try and strike now. As if similar to what I think the question you asked me in regards to like, are they getting him in as a replacement? And have Liverpool seen that as maybe the doors open a bit to get him? I don't know, but
I think personally, I think it's what I was saying earlier. I think it's a bit of throwing the weight around a little bit. It's basically saying, right, well, you're not willing to have a discussion about the possibility of selling Isak, so we're going to go for your target. I think that's what it is. And it could end up with complete egg on both clubs' face. Either way, let's say worst case scenario, we could lose Isak and not sign Ekitike. Whereas other way around, we could keep Isak and sign him as well. So
that's what I would love. I would love the Saudis to do that. If I'm being honest with you, right?
It's showing some statement there, isn't it?
Isn't it? Literally, like, you know, I was going to say something I don't know I can say on YouTube, but you're basically showing your cojones. You're showing what you've got, and it would be amazing, wouldn't it? Like,
it's never stopped you before, Deka.
I know, true, like that. But do you know what I mean? It would be amazing, wouldn't it? If, let's say, you know, end of this week or the week after, right? You sign him, right, for 80, 90 million, whatever it is. And then the next day, you've got Isak sitting with a pen and paper. It's in James is signing a new contract. And that is literally saying, we are not messing around here. Like, it would be an amazing statement that whether or not you can do it, I don't know. But I do want to mention something about Isak's contract. I just feel in order for him to stay, we're going to have to get busy, I think, aren't we? I think, on a contract. I know there's been talks going on, but I kind of feel now we've really got to do that if we're going to keep him.
Well, this is something which I mentioned a few weeks ago, Scott. I wasn't expecting Isak to get a new contract this summer. I thought it might have been come January. I thought that's when we would be negotiating. But with everything which happened in the last 48 hours, it could speed things up a little bit. If Newcastle want to keep him, you need to get that new contract signed, like I just mentioned.
Absolutely, I think the thing with the contract, it was murmured towards the end of last season that there was opening talks, or there was, you know, they were looking at doing it at least. I don't know who was forcing that, whether the club decided that's what they wanted, or whether it was Isak's side that wanted a new contract to make him, you know, the highest earner at the club. Obviously, he's been away on international duty. He only got back, I think, the day before they flew. I think he even met them over there. I don't think they've had time with him the first week of pre-season, so he hasn't been around to discuss anything. I don't know how much he discusses or how much it's with the agent or whatever. So you'd expect that to happen next week. If talks are going to happen, they're probably going to start next week when they're back in the UK. So, yeah, I think if we do sign Ekitike and it happens this week or it happens early next week, then you'd imagine Isak could be first knocking on the door going, okay, I'm now no longer, you know, the top signing, or, you know, the top striker in the club in terms of signings. Prove me worth with the contract. You know, there's other clubs interested. Do you want to keep us? But on the flip of that, I mean, he's still got 3 years left. The club would say, well, you've got 3 years on your contract, lad. Prove your worth next season, and we'll talk in January. I don't think he holds all the cards. Handle it. I don't know if he does. I think come January he does, but right now I think we hold the cards because we've got him in the contract. I mean, he could play he could down the tools or whatever, but I don't think he's that type of player, to be honest.
It's very rare you see that these days, though, isn't it, Deka?
Yeah.
It's very, very rare you see a player put in a transfer request, or at least publicly put in a transfer request. I couldn't say the last one for Newcastle that did that. Yes, I know there were rumours of Harvey Barnes recently, last winter transfer window, but publicly, you very rarely see it.
No, I don't think you do. Like, to be fair, I think the only one, I think Jota is going to Arsenal. Apparently, he's went on strike and he isn't going back to training. I don't like stuff like that because I think it's just not good. But anyway, no, I don't think Isak would do that. Like, I don't. I really don't. I think I wouldn't say unsettled, but rumours of the Arsenal. Can you remember? I was really frustrated. It was the press conference before the final, before the team travelled to Wembley, and It was him and Bruno.
It was Bruno, and he's like, yeah, it was a horrible situation. Both those were put in
It was
Deka.
horrendous. Every single question was about Isak going to Arsenal, or what does it unsettle you? And he was ice cold, handled it absolutely fine. So he obviously, I'm not saying he's been through this, because obviously this seems a little bit more stronger in terms of an approach. But
they've kind of let him down the path to talk about his ambitions of a player without mentioning the likes of leaving the football club. They were basically just saying, what are your ambitions as a player? Which it wasn't great, was it?
No, I thought it was disgusting. I remember how angry I was, because that entire press conference should have been built around our biggest game in our history, right? It was the final, it's what we've done to get there, and it wasn't. It was just the Isak transfer show. That's all it seemed like to me. But away from that, I don't see Isak being the type of person that would, let's say behind the scenes he does ask, listen, I want to leave, and we said no. I would hope that he doesn't hide the toys out the pram, so to speak.
I'd be very shocked to see that, Deka.
I agree. I would. I don't think he would do that. And let's hope we don't get to that stage.
I think the other thing we've got to bear in mind is that the chairman, he's the chairman's favourite player. I think the chairman's going to do everything he can to keep hold of him. And if Isak wants a new contract, and he, God knows he deserves it, the chairman's going to be like, all right, let's talk. We're not going to give you everything you want, but
because it's a funny one.
Within fair reason.
The chairman can. I bet the chairman's going, well, does he want £1 million a week? Like, whatever he wants in terms of us and what we can do. I totally understand we can't. It's just one of them, isn't it, where you're blowing the doors open of wage structure after this one, really. But I think collectively we all knew this was coming.
But Deka, just to go back a little bit, I think if you're looking at Newcastle United's ambition as a football club, he's gone.
I went to grab me pint and be locked up.
If you want to show your ambitions as a football club and what we want from the future, you quite simply do not sell your best player unless two reasons: your hand is forced, or the offer is far too good to turn down. Those are the two reasons you're going to even do that.
So to use two, then I'm going to ask you this: if they come in, negotiations happen and they're continuing to talk, and we keep saying nah, he's not for sale, and then they say 150, what would you do?
I think at 150, the club will enter negotiations at that figure. I think 120, 130, which is rumored, I don't even think we'll have that conversation. I just think it'll be firmly, it's not for sale, do something better. What's your thoughts, Scott?
I think 150. I still don't think 150 is enough. You've got to think. You've got to think.
It's a lot of moolah,
and it is. But you've also got to think what Isak and Ekitike gives us at the end of next season, and that is pretty much nailed on another Champions League run for the season after. That's worth 50 million in itself when it comes to prize money. So, for me, that's 160, 170 for Isak before you even know entering the conversation. I know that sounds ridiculous, but you cannot take out the fact that we have to get Champions League next season.
I get what you're saying, Scott. I think the issue is that statement comes with a big if on it. You're not guaranteed that Champions League football. If a club comes in offers 150 million, that's in your pocket. That's guaranteed. I'm not talking about all these installments and all this shite that comes with it and add-ons. I think the deal has to be 150 for us to even entertain that conversation. Anything less than that door will be firmly closed in Liverpool's face.
Yeah, I think 150 we could sadly be edging towards selling him. But I still think even if they go 120, 130, 140, that's when the contract negotiations on our sides are going to open up, because his agent's going to say, listen, fair enough, you're rejecting the bid, but this is what they're offering, my guy, and it's 3 times more than what you're paying. Come on. And I know I bang this drum a lot, and I always joke about it, but Onana at Man United is on more than Isak. Come on here. This guy's throwing the ball in the net weekly, and he's on more than Isak.
I think we mentioned this a couple of weeks back when we're talking about the contract situation with Isak, and said that there's going to be a time that comes where we have to be a bit more flexible with the wage structure that we have in place at the moment, and it takes one player to do that. And that could be Isak, and Isak could be that lead that domino effect in regards to contract negotiations for everybody.
Yeah, I think credit to the club as well, though, for the amount of time they've managed to keep it within a a realistic or a decent standard. Given all the players we've got, you like see your Tonali's and Bruno, Isak, Gordon, all the rest of it, right? I think that's when I came back to when I was talking about Alanga, wasn't I? And we were talking about Pedro when we looked at their wages they were on at their club before was like 45 grand. So we can double their wage, perhaps triple to a degree, and we're still not smashing the boundaries out. But when I'm hearing the likes of Havertz is on 300 grand a week, no offense here, but Isak must be looking at these players going, hang on a second, I'm on whatever I'm on, 120 or something. This day was always going to come. It was always going to happen.
Yeah, of course it was.
But I think
let's remember, there's no official bid in there yet. There's nothing. There's no official bids. Everything which are coming is coming from the media, Scott. And that's all that it is. I'm still standing by. I don't think Isak will get sold. I think Isak will be a Newcastle United player next season. Ask us that question again come the summer, then we might be having a different conversation. But I honestly still think he's wearing the black and white stripes.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's why we're bringing in who we're trying to bring in, Ekitike, to get a season under his belt in the Premier League, learn a bit off Isak, get his Premier League kind of stripes, as you will, for a season, get bedded in, just learn the club, learn the players around him, learn under Eddie Howe, and then if someone comes in next season for Isak, which, let's be honest, the value isn't going to really change much unless Isak has an absolutely honking season, which you can't see happening, or he has a really bad injury, which that's the only potentially bad thing that could happen. We're still looking at 120 or 150 million, you would say, for Isak next season, or more if he has a better season. I mean, you don't know, do you?
When he's got that Champions League winning medal around his neck, exactly, 20 million on that.
But you've then got a ready-made replacement who's already got the ground running, and then we've got the money to go ahead and buy whoever else we need to replace. And I know we've said Isak's irreplaceable, but there's funds there from a PSR standpoint to go ahead and buy another replacement if one exists. I mean, I know probably doesn't. We probably would have the two, but there's at least somebody available that we could probably pick up to bring in to go in behind Ekitike in a season's time. But I don't know.
If we sold Isak for all that money, I reckon the club would go balls to the wall, in terms of signings.
It unlocks so much for in terms of.
Can you imagine how much it would unlock? The squad would become, without a shadow of a doubt, better. It would become a much better squad. But that
can be more damaging, though. Like we saw with Spurs, didn't we? When Spurs sold Bale, and then they brought in God knows how many players on the back of that, and some of them just
you've got to get it right. Yeah, you've got to get it right. Yeah, that's true.
If anybody's got any questions, send them our way. We'll go through them because we'll go for another 10-15 minutes or so. I want to move across to Ekitike, Deka. The player that Liverpool are looking at stealing from the grasp that we have currently. There has been a bid rejected. Like I said, it's rumored to be around about £80 million. We're not sure if that's all in or if that's incentivized and so on with add-ons. Like I said, that was rejected. Rumored that Newcastle are going to be going straight back in with an improved offer. There were rumors earlier on that Ekitike only wants Newcastle, but I think the translation wasn't great on that. It could have been taken a few different ways. But what I want to throw in the mix is that this is a player that knows Newcastle United has been interested for a number of years now. We've shown interest in for 3-4 seasons thereabouts now. We look at bringing him in just before we got Isak. He decided to go to PSG. And he said in interviews that if he had to go overseas, it would have been Newcastle. So, like I said, he's fully aware of that situation, that he's high on the target list for ourselves. Let's say he then reads the headlines to say, well, Liverpool aren't happy that Newcastle aren't going to be selling Isak. So now they're just coming after me as part of a bargaining chip, let's say, to try and influence Newcastle's stance on a couple of different things. As a player, does that matter? Or when it's somebody like Liverpool and the wages that you will be receiving, do you just completely disregard that and think that's football?
I'll position it back how it got hired for us when we had apparently agreed for Unai Emery, wasn't it? Was it? I'm sure. And Howe's been asked that question about like, well, what's it feel like to be a sloppy second, if you like? He's like, I'm not interested, not bothered. It's my career, blah 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 blah. And I actually think, unless he has an unbelievably high ego about himself, I don't think it bothers him when that wage and playing for the Premier League champions comes available. Yes, technically he's a sloppy second because it's Isak the want, but I don't think probably when it comes down to it would matter. To be honest, now I said this on Monday, and maybe I live in a fairy tale world. I think sometimes when it comes to how players think, but you would like to think, though, wouldn't you, that he knows we've been in for him a number of times. How loves him. We've been chasing him. You would hope that would hold something as a player to go, you know, it's actually the most really like is if they're in for us again. And and we are a fantastic club. Like, look at what we've been doing under this new regime. Everyone can see that. He knows how good we are. So you would hope that would count for something, but sometimes pounds and pence are more, isn't it? Unfortunately. So you just don't know about.
What would he offer to us, Scott, if we brought them in and we keep Isak? Because just on Monday night, the lads that do the Overspanning Faces podcast show were talking about how dangerous we would be in attack with Alanga, Isak, and Gordon on the left-hand side. Throw Ekitike in there as well, and that is absolute dynamite.
It is. I mean, I think it was 18 or 19 goals last season in his first season of the Bundesliga. Now, I know it's the Bundesliga. It's not exactly the same as the Premier League, but there's comparisons. You get a lot of players that come from the Bundesliga do well in the Premier League because it's similar in certain areas. And I think he got 5 assists, if I remember rightly. So, you know, he's got that. I saw there was a video that they put up that I saw the day from the Bundesliga where it was all of his goals and assists. And a lot of them are running with the ball. And he either has like that, kind of like what, you know, when Tonali gets the ball and he plays that one-touch pass just like instantly. A lot of his assists are like that, where you'll think you'll take a shot in the box and you'll actually like just pass it back to the person who's like laid him off to begin with.
Scott, doesn't he? Glides across the field.
And he glides across the field. Do you know what it is? He's almost a carbon copy of Isak, and you can see why we wanted him before we went for Isak when he went to PSG back, 3 seasons ago? Because they're very, very similar players. Whether they can play together because they're so similar, I don't know. That would be something that Eddie Howe would have to deal with, and I imagine they probably could. He looks like he can play on the left. He looks like he can play down the middle, which is very nice. Would probably be able to offer him the number 9 shirt as well. That has a big thing on it. Maybe that might be too much for the young lad. I don't know, but obviously it's vacant at the moment. Bringing in a striker, he's going to be our top signing player. He'd probably give him that number 9 shirt. To be fair, unless Isak wants it.
Use that at Isak.
Yeah,
exactly. New contract, number 9 shirt. Thanks for staying.
So, but yeah, to go back on Ekitike, he's got pace. He looks a bit thin for me for the Premier League. He would probably need to beef up a bit, but I don't know about his physicality.
I think you could say that about Isak as well. Yes, Deka's just said it. Isak was very slender when he still is, to be fair, and he runs rings around the best Premier Leagues, the best defenders the Premier Leagues have got.
But if you're looking at an attack of Gordon, Alanga, Isak, and Ekitike, and I'm talking, you know, if we're playing something like a 4-4-2 almost, or even Ekitike behind.
I'm getting an Alanga here. I'm getting an Alanga. Thinking of that.
Well, exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. I mean, we talked earlier about, you know, Liverpool not being a team that we're competing against for league titles. I'm not saying we're going for the league title, but we would be up and around that top, you know, 4-3.
This is how you change that, Scott.
That's how you change it. I would say, though, we do still need to remember there's other positions in the team that we need to strengthen. We still need a centre-back. We're still, you know, lacking pace in that centre-back position. We're probably still going to need a keeper either this season or next. I don't know what that means for the James Trafford deal, because that's went very, very quiet. Although he's not in Portugal, he still isn't on any of the social
think
media
Burnley have
posts that
lost
they're
him.
putting in. I think they've lost him. He's probably in a Jet2 luggage bag hold somewhere, and they've probably lost him somewhere going to Portugal. But yeah, I mean, we still need to strengthen other areas of the club, and I don't know what spending. I think the latest rumor is 100 million euros on Ekitike will do for the rest of the transfer window and what we can afford. But also saying that, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it tonight or not. I didn't ask, but there's a potential outgoing going to be happening, which could potentially unlock some more funds for those other signings. So, we'll maybe see what that does as well.
Yeah, so I think what we will do, I think we'll have a whole separate podcast on the player that you mentioned. So Sean Longstaff looks like he is off to Leeds. We had a big discussion about this on Monday's show. So if you want something straight away, jump across to Monday's show, because we did have quite a discussion about Longstaff and the future for him as well. But yes, we need those funds. The funds help us going forward, of course, to do. And it's been a while since we've been able to sell players to bring funds in. Yes, we were forced to sell Maxi, really. We didn't bring much money in for the likes of Miggy and so on. We've not had a great stream of money when it comes to selling players. Deka.
One thing I'll say about Longstaff, I know we're going to do another podcast on it, but we've turned down 3 bids for Sean Longstaff at up to 12 million, and we've held out, and we've gotten the rumours are 12 plus add-ons to get 15. And people are saying we're going to just accept 120 million straight off for Alexander Isak. However, we're turning down bids for Sean Longstaff for up to 12 million, 3 bids from Leeds. I mean,
I don't think any club now never gets the first bid accepted, do they? Look at the fight we've had with Gahey for about 10 years. Trafford, he'll be retired by the time we sign him. Honestly, it'll be his testimonial, yeah. He is just, it's ridiculous. And my worry with this Ekitike carry on is that there might be like a Gahey in this, last summer, where it's like back and forwards, and I don't know. I just think that's the way modern football is now. It just takes a long time to get these deals.
Agents and Frankfurt are getting exactly what they want from this situation now. Newcastle interest bid in, Liverpool showing interest. They are happy to just sit and let this play out now.
I mean, they're saying 100 million euros total to get this over the line. That's a lot of moolah, isn't it? It's a lot of money. But what a statement it would be, wouldn't it? If we can keep it, because it would be bittersweet, wouldn't it? If we lost Isak and we got him, it would be so bittersweet. But if we could get him, keep Isak, sky's the limit.
I'm gonna end it on one question, because there has been a couple of questions in, but I'll end it on. In fact, no, there's 2, so we'll quickly go through it. This one is from Steve C. That's a serious question, Kris. Why can't we compete with Liverpool over the next 3 years? What message will we send if we sell our star player to the team we want to overtake? I think it's something which we mentioned throughout this. I think as an ambitious football club, that Newcastle's owners, chairman, everybody says that we want to be number one. You quite simply don't sell your best player unless, like I said, the money's just too good to turn down.
Or the player
starts rocking the boat.
And that's the only thing I would say, because I'm with Steve. And I think we all are. That we want I want to sign Isak down to the new contract. I want to bring in Ekitike and go, come on, we're coming for you. We want to be where you are. That's what I want. But ultimately, if Isak starts to make any rumours or tells them that he doesn't want to stay, and I'm not saying he is, I'm just saying hypothetically, you're in a bit of a rock and a hard place, aren't you? Really, you've kind of got to move him on,
Yeah, and I think that there's been a comment there, Scott, that basically says Liverpool have to make us an offer that we can't refuse, and that's exactly it.
It is. That's exactly what it is. I think Eel said, maybe it was 2 seasons ago now, but like every player does have a price. They just have to find out what that price is, because we're not going to tell them. We're not going to go, okay, give X amount more and you'll get them. They have to discover what that price is.
How high do you think they would go? How high do you think Liverpool would go?
I think they'll have a limit.
If the starting bid's 120, what do you think they would go to?
I think they'll draw the line at 140, 150, and I don't think they'll go any higher, because I don't think they'll be able to for PSR reasons.
Yeah.
I think there was. I've read somewhere today that they had about 200 million to spend. I think they've already spent a fair amount already this season, because that Wirtz wasn't cheap.
Well, they're looking at, there's a few players a shift, isn't there, as well?
They're trying to shift Nunes, but
get rid of Diaz maybe. I know they've rejected it for buying, but they'll probably go.
So if those go, I mean, there could be potentially counting chickens before the hatch, though, by doing this deal now without those players going, and if then the players don't go, they could be in the shit. But I think they're smarter than that. I don't think they're going to do deals without players going. I think they're going to do like what we had.
There is a comment which just came in. There's been a lot of Liverpool fans in the chat, and I've not entertained most of them. To be fair, because they're just silly suggestions. But one of them, Big Joe, said, if you sold Isak, you'd not have to worry about PSR issues. I think all that Newcastle are waiting to do now is see what happens with Manchester City when it comes to these court rulings. And if nothing happens, it's a slap on the wrist. The door is open for everybody when it comes to likes of PSR. So I don't think we're not in a position now where we need to worry about PSR at this moment in time. That's fine. Yes, selling players helps with that. We're not in a position. We don't have to sell Isak.
There's a reason there's no sponsor on the front of that shirt that Deka's wearing. And it's because of those Man City rules. Because there's no sponsor on the training tops. They're waiting for that court ruling. And once that court ruling goes, and if it goes in their favour, there'll be Aramco on the front of that for like 200 million or whatever. Because that's
this will become like a Formula One shit. It'll just be
it'd be like Dutch fourth league, isn't it? Where they just plastered instead.
Because this is the same as the Mercedes F1 gear. It's the same top, but obviously theirs is just 1,000 here, 1,000 there, 400 on the back. That's what you want, man. Get it done.
Yeah. There's another comment saying the door's already open in regards to PSR and the ways you can work around it. Like, yes, we saw Chelsea sell the women's team. We saw Villa do it. That's going to get used if you hit those PSR issues and the difficulties that come that way. That's when clubs will start looking at that. Hence why Villa have done it. Once again, we don't need to sell players. We don't need to sell the women's football team. We don't need to buy a hotel and sell it back to ourselves. We don't need to do any of that at this moment in time. If you look at it, Newcastle are looking at bringing players in.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've signed Elanga for 50 odd million. We're trying to sign this Ekitike for 80 odd to 100. So we've done incredibly well over the last 3 windows to cut our cloth accordingly, and so much credit again to how we are. Just what the job he has done on the tools that he's being given, it's just remarkable. The guy's unreal, and hopefully this window we can give him what he wants and what he needs.
I'm gonna end it with one question. This question comes from me, and I'm gonna ask both of you separately. Scott, what would be the ideal situation to happen by the end of next week?
The ideal, well, like I think we've mentioned it, that I think we have an announcement video where Ekitike is doing keep-you-ups in the centre of St. James's Park. Isak comes along with a nice little folder, and he opens it up, and there's a contract there, and it pans down, and it's got his signature on it. It's underneath. Ekitike grabs a pen, and he signs it as well, and they both walk off.
Like a double contract.
Like a double contract, and that's the ideal scenario for me.
So I'm similar to Scott, right? That is a hell of an idea. I want Ekitike to be walking out on the pitch, right? And he gets handed the shirt, and he's like turning around, and they're like looking up, and then it's Isak in the stand. He's going, "I'm not fucking leaving," and it's basically
in the number 9 shirt.
It's just a zip line from the top of the leaders.
Yeah. Just drop the mic, and we'll see you next season. Like, it'll be unbelievable. So that's my idea, anyway.
No, I agree with you. I agree. Do you know what it is? Like, I don't want to be stressed over this situation. I just want I know the club have came out and said that he's not for sale, right? I don't buy that. I think every single player has a price at the end of the day. Every player is for sale. Like, if super money comes in, they're leaving, right? But I would love for the narrative to go down of, right, he's signing a new contract, and that's our confirmation there and then that we're not even interested in anything. He's signing a new contract. He's ours for the next X amount of years. And then to top it off, we've got an understudy coming in as well in Ekitike, and we're going to go balls deep and have 20 strikers just going at it, just absolutely mauling teams. That's what I don't even care about Trafford anymore.
Or a centre half.
We don't need,
Like
we don't need a
Keegan
keeper. We don't need a
10-9.
defender. We'll just score more than the opposition. We'll go back to the Keegan days.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thanks everybody that has joined us. There has been over 400 people throughout this one, mainly Liverpool fans.
We're gonna get clipped to fuck on this one, but I don't care.
If you do want to give an extra bit back, it is just $2.99 a month to become a member as well. As you can see in the bottom of the screen, you do get extra videos, you get early access to content as well, and you do get access to that Telegram group. The Telegram group, I'm sure you would have seen it as well today, Scott. It's been going wild with the rumors.
Oh, my battery's battered. I've had to charge my phone twice.
So it's So jump in the Telegram group. You will go on the community page, and the links are all on there to join that as well. It's always a good laugh speaking to like-minded Newcastle United fans as well. If you don't want to do that, just like the video. It's all we ask. Become a subscriber. That's enough for us. But we'll see you next time, and let's see what the next couple of days bring. I'm worried as soon as we hit end stream that something will happen, and I don't know.
Romano,
we'll have a
Romano's ready to hit send on a tweet. You know, he's got it.
I'm sure Romano watches this and waits until it ends, and he goes, "I'm gonna fuck this shit up."
Here we go.
But thanks, boys. See you next time. Ta-ra.